Hey guys, well, what is going on? In this video, I want to break down the Andromeda update, how this relates to your meta ads, how to structure your meta ads differently, because despite what you may hear from different people online, it is making an impact, and the way that you structure your ads will make a big difference to your results. Now, this is specifically more so for somebody doing local lead gen, local advertising, or just direct lead gen or book a call funnel stuff. This is not for ecom, although you'll probably be able to get some inspiration or ideas for ecom as well. So, Andromeda update. So I got this dramatic photo here because it has been a bit of an impact on how we've been running ads. I know that some people say that it hasn't been a big impact, but for us, it has been. So let's break down how I'm going to go through this video. So there are really three things that this impacts. So there's the ad structure, so the actual way that you structure your campaigns. There's the creative volume that's required, and then the audience targeting, how you set up your audiences. So I'm going to give you three different examples, literally taken from today, so you can see how this is impacting things. So we have here somebody in finance, so they're lending money. So you can see here that we've got a pure advantage ad set. He's getting leads at like $21, which is pretty decent. So we can see here that Advantage Audience is working. So previous, a couple of months ago, Advantage Audience wasn't working as well. And Advantage Audience is working quite well now. So that's a bit of a difference. The other thing too to mention is that when you first run an Advantage Audience campaign, what tends to happen is you get really cheap clicks. Like within the first maybe 12 hours, you get clicks like 10 cents for a campaign objective that's a scheduled campaign under leads, or a lead objective campaign under leads, which is not normal. Usually you'd get cost per click starting at $2, $3 if it's a decent campaign. So that was something different, and I thought that was like some kind of bug with Facebook. But what you'll find is that with Advantage, you tend to get a lot of cheap clicks at the start, and I think that's how the algorithm warms up to find your kind of best fit type of clients. So here's another example, and this is where what we did was a full Andromeda setup. So what we did was, instead of having one ad per ad set, so in the past I'd always do one ad per ad set, and then typically a couple of ad sets per campaign. What I've found is that if you do the Andromeda setup, what you want to do is essentially have a creative pack per ad set. And you hold all of your ads in one ad set. So up until this point, I would be strict, because this was like how I was taught at different agencies that I worked at, that you'd have one ad per ad set. But I've actually found that having multiple ads in one ad set has done really well. And the proof is in the pudding, right? So you can see here, this is from literally today, right? The 1st of November, 2025. The cost per lead, and these leads were filling out a pretty detailed form. In Australia, so this is not in some third world country, the lead cost was at $7.74. So it's really cheap. So with this campaign, we did a full Andromeda setup, and it worked really well. Okay. So let's go to the next example. Okay, so the next one is what we did here was we split tested a targeted campaign. So we had detailed targeting versus a straight Advantage Audience. So remember, with Advantage Audience, which is the Andromeda setup, you can't actually detail target who you're trying to work with. So what we did here is we wanted to see which one worked better. Was it the targeted campaign, or was it the Advantage campaign? And it looks like that the targeted campaign outperformed. But what I will say is that with this particular setup, we only had one ad per ad set. So we didn't have the creative volume typically required with Andromeda. Now, here's the old way, just to kind of reiterate this. So one ad per ad set. So we wouldn't ever mix ads in one ad set. We'd do typically ad set budget optimization, particularly at the start, to test which ad worked best. But the algorithm's so good now that that's inefficient. And if you want to find winners quickly, across the board, I've found that CBO works really well. And so there's very little reason to do ad set budget optimization. And if you still find that Facebook tends to overspend in particular ads, I'll show you later on in the video a way that you can overcome that. And then with the old way, you'd have moderate creative variation, which basically means you wouldn't go too crazy with having too many different creatives in the campaign. And you'd have detailed targeting, right? So you'd have, interest stacking, lookalike audiences, stuff like that, okay? Which you'd still do for middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel campaigns. But with this Andromeda thing, when you're talking about top of funnel, you'd really just do broad audience, so you wouldn't have any targeting. So the new way, and this is the way that we set things up in this particular campaign up here, where we got a really good cost per lead, is what we did is we had multiple ads in one ad set. Now each of these ads was talking to a specific avatar or a specific ICP. So one thing that you want to do with Andromeda is you want to slice and dice your campaigns in this way. So you can talk about specific ICPs in your ads, so ideal client profile. So let's say you sell gym membership. You could target older women in their 40s. You could target young dudes looking to get jacked. You could target old guys looking to just improve their bone density. They're all different angles that you can take based on the ICP. Now, in addition to the ICP, you can look at all the different angles that you can do. So the different ways to sell a product. So with the new iPhone, you could sell it as having longer battery as the main kind of hook or angle, or you could sell it as being made out of titanium so that it's really durable. That could be an angle. Or you could make it like the most powerful processing chip of any phone. That could be an angle, a different selling point. So what you want to do is really fan out, split out different selling points, ICPs, and then different ways like angles, or different, you could do direct ads, indirect ads, story ads, direct proposition ads, lead magnets. So what you basically want to do is have a lot more structure and idea generation around your campaign, so that you're not just doing a couple of ads, one and done. So it actually takes a little bit more effort, but so far, and I will do a video updating this later, the effort is worth it, because if you look at the results, it is a lot better with the way that you set up the Andromeda accounts with multiple ads per ad set. The cost per lead's way cheaper, right? So yeah. And then campaign budget optimization, and then pure advantage audience. So when you're in the advantage audience setup, you do advantage audience. So here's the summary, right? Here's what you want to take away from it. You can do two different setups. Now, this is specifically if you're doing lead gen, book a call, right? One campaign, CBO, one ad set with all the ads in that ad set with advantage audience, multiple creators with creative diversity. So multiple ICPs, multiple angles that you'd have in there. Then you could split test this with a kind of hybrid, right? So this would be one campaign, CBO with 25% minimum budget per ad set. So there's a setting in Ads Manager where you can allocate a minimum of 25% for each ad set in a CBO campaign, which is kind of the best medium between ad set, full ABO and CBO. Multiple ad sets, right, with advantage audience and detailed targeting as a split test. So that is actually this example that I gave here, where it's you've got targeted, and then you've got advantage. You can see that targeted is actually doing better, and then one ad per one ad set. So that's what we've found has worked really well, and this is the full Andromeda setup that we did that has got the best result. So I'll update you guys with another video later down the track, but hopefully that was helpful. Thanks.